Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. So welcome back to our DOPS webinar sessions. So today, I will be your host today, Dr. Kev here, will be covering for Dr. Ellen. So for today's topics, we will be talking about the tonsil as a pathogen reservoir, overcoming the biofilm resistance and cryptic viral latency. So I think this is topics that we all always come across, but we didn't really really pay attention much. I think today we have two very important guests in our host in our room today. One is Dr. J. Dr. J is the frontline general practitioner from PMG Balakong Medical Clinic Balakong. He also is the author for two books, which later he will share more about it. And some of you might be one of the reader of his books before. And he will be sharing the first session of today sessions. And next, we also have Dr. Cheng. So Dr. Cheng is the founder and CEO of Paragon Healthcare. So Paragon Healthcare is one of the trusted pharmaceutical company in Malaysia. They are distributing and they also bringing some very innovative products into this market. So I think for today's topic, what we are going to talk about is something we many of us have been seeing mostly almost daily in the clinics, but we didn't think so deeply about. I mean, we think about tonsil as just a lymphoid tissue, but sometimes it can be more than that. It can be a persistent pathogen reservoir that actually can be leading to a recurrent tonsillitis case that you see. Can be sometimes you find that antibiotic is not so effective, and sometimes you find patients keep coming back with the same tonsil issue. So I think that's a topics I think we want them to, I mean, our expert today to dive into today. So before we go in, let me do some housekeeping. So let me share my housekeeping sessions. So so today, this is the topics we're gonna talk about. So first thing first, I want everyone to actually join this Slido platform. So this Slido platform is a platform for you to ask questions in between the session later. So if you have the Slido app in your phone, you can just scan the QR code and then you can join the room already. If not, you can actually go to this slido.com in your browser, and you type in this code 1357 and then 925. Then you will enter into a room that you can actually ask questions there. And toward the end of the sessions, we will open up the floor for all the Q&A. So you can actually come in to ask all the burning questions, asking about all the evidence that we have for these topics. Everything is there. So for those who come in later on, I would also put a QR code. So I think you can see the QR code on your left side of the banner there. So it's the same thing. You can scan the QR code and then you can enter into the Slido Q&A sessions. So next, of course, don't forget to subscribe to DOPS channel, YouTube channel. So we will keep you updated with all the latest webinar, all the latest knowledge sharing sessions. And today we also have Dr. J, Dr. J Chow, Dr. J Chai, J Chai. So you can actually subscribe to his YouTube channel. So he also started to share about his medical career, all the journey that in the Sarawak side, Borneo side. So that is our second slide. And third slide is about our CBD point. So these sessions is aggregated with one CBD point. So we'll be giving out the CBD point toward the end of the session. So stay tuned until the end of the session. So we'll give you a QR code to scan and then fill out your detail from there. So I think that's about it. So I think we can pass the floor to that. So we will have 3 sessions. So first session will be by Dr. J. So Dr. J will share about the tonsil as pathogen reservoir. And next we will have Dr. Chen coming on board. So talking about anatomical evidence. So yeah, are you ready, Dr. J and Dr. Chen?
Yes,
So
yes. Yeah.
okay,
Yes, yes.
now I'll get Dr. J to the stage now. Yeah. Hi, Dr. J. The floor is yours now.
Thank you, Dr. Keith. Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's a very beautiful morning today. Finally, there is one day in Chinese New Year that is not raining, finally. So we have a very nice day today. And it is my honor for being here together with all of you in DOPS in sharing regarding on the tonsil as a pathogen reservoirs overcoming the biofilm resistant and cryptic viral latency. So thank you for inviting me as one of the speakers here. And I was delightful to being given the task to share in regarding on this tonsil. So I would like to proceed today as the first speaker. And let's talk about the tonsil as a pathogen reservoir, okay? And my name is Dr. J, and thanks for upgrading me to a pop star just now in a split second called J Chow, but thank God, sorry, I'm J Chair, not J Chow, okay? Right. So just a discussion for this webinar. This session, the tonsil as a pathogen reservoir overcoming biofilm resistant and cryptic viral latency, will explore the critical role of a tonsil as a persistent sanctuary for both bacterial biofilms and viral pathogens. As we know, the infection happens to us. It's always these two brothers, okay? The bacteria, either the bacteria or the virus or both. So the discussion will focus more on educational needs of primary healthcare providers on how the tonsillar pathogen reservoirs, specifically bacterial biofilms and silent viral infection, can be managed more effectively in the clinical practice, our daily practice. I'm sure that after Chinese New Year, there's a lot of tonsillitis cases. As Chinese, they always say, hitty, and then also a lot of people has come, and then also we have a lot of people moving around home Malaysia in this festive season. So spreading of the disease is unavoidable. So we as the primary general practitioner will actually be one of the most important person during this festive season to take care of the health of our clients and also our patients as well, regardless of private or government hospitals. So the next slide will go on. For the objective of today is we are talking about the tonsillar crypts as a pathogen reservoirs, and then the limitation of the conventional therapies, and also evidence of the biofilm disruption, which will be conducted by another speaker, Dr. Chi. Okay, this is the agenda. And next, we'll talk about the tonsil as a pathogen reservoir first. So what is this pathogen reservoir? As we know, tonsil is one of the defense system in our body. It is a second line defense system. It's together with the lymphatic system as well. And we have a lot of lymphocytes in our tonsil as well. So that's why the word come, the gatekeeper, the word, it helps us to defend our body. But now that gatekeeper, okay, imagine we have a goal, okay? So we have a goalkeeper there, but now the goalkeeper is becoming the host. Okay, he's inviting people to to shoot that goal, the soccer, to score for the opponent, the opposite team. So now the gatekeeper has become the host. And the paradox, the organ's tonsil is designed to destroy pathogen, becomes a protective niche for their survival. So right now, the bacteria and the virus are looking for tonsil as the place where they multiply, okay, where they build their own army and attack our body. So tonsils provide that place right now instead of defending them. Yes, against them. Okay, sorry. And third is about the hypertrophy redefined, not just the inflammation, but also the active maintenance of a reservoir. The bacteria that stays in there, they stays in there. And then lastly, the dual trait, the silent intracellular viral infection plus a fortified bacterial biofilm. As I said, both goes in together. Okay, one is the silent intracellular viral infection. The other one will be the bacteria forming a biofilm, so that, as we all know, we as a doctor, we know biofilm is what the bacteria's protective organism or mechanism in order to defend themselves from getting hurt by the antibiotics. Okay, so next. Right. I'll just do a very quick refreshment, a very quick recap on the secondary lymphoid tissue and also Wilder's ring. Okay. So first, when we see the left side, there's a picture over the left side. As you can see, the diagram is noticed as a lymphoid organ where we have the adenoids tonsil and the lymph node, the thymus, the bone marrow, the spleen, the Peyer's patches, and appendix, lymph nodes, and also lymph nodes at the inguinal area and also over the thigh. Okay. The thymus and the bone marrow will always be the primary organ, and the secondary organ will be all the tonsils and lymph nodes that I say just now, including the spleen. Okay, and if you look at the right side of the diagram, you will see this is called the Wilder's ring, which is actually consists of four different organs over there. We have on the top the adenoid, which is located behind the soft palate, and then next the tuba tonsil, which is above here up. Okay, we don't actually see them if you do an oral examination. Next is the palatine tonsil, our very best friend. We always see that two big thing at the side there, that is the palatine tonsil and always refer to as the tonsil. And lastly, the lingual tonsil, which is right behind your tongue, unable to see unless you try to use an ETT, maybe you can see during the moment when you're inserting an ETT, a tracheotomy, okay? Sorry, not tracheotomy, but they call it the intubation action, okay? So now we go to the next one. This is actually one of the abstract from the American Society for Microbiology in the Journal of Virology. So here it shows the evidence of the tonsil as a pathogen reservoir. And this study is published in 2020. Exact date, I don't know, but it's that year. So I would like to drag your attention towards the right side there, where you can see the summary. Down there, you will see the abstract, which we tick out as in the section A, section B, and section C. So as a section A, in the abstract, it says that healthy cohorts of palatine tonsils and adenoid, which is the pharyngeal tonsil, without acute respiratory infection were removed for this study. Okay. And also the B one is the B and the T lymphocytes were discovered in the palatine tonsils and also the adenoid. Okay, bear in mind, this is important. Later I tell you why. Okay, and the C part, it says that the palatine tonsils and the adenoid were also positive with nuclear protein RNA of influenza A virus in the palatine tonsils and adenoid nucleus. Okay, in summary, when you see the B and the C part here, with the B plus C, this suggests that the evidence of an active infection of influenza A virus. They're using influenza A virus as one of the experimental target here with the palatine tonsils and adenoid as a reservoir. Okay, because as we can see, the B cell and the T cell are actually discovered in both tonsils. Okay, so continue from this study, we actually take a total subject of which is called a cohort of 103 children, which their age is between 3 to 13 years old, undergoing a tonsillectomy and also an adenoidectomy. None has acute respiratory infection symptom for 4 weeks prior. Okay, excluded those who had the symptom. Without the symptom, only we did the operation. And then next, the subjects with more than one positive tissue came back as 7 children, which is 6.8% of the cohort. Okay, and these patients are who tested for positive of IAV, which is influenza A virus. Okay, RNA. So total positive tissue sample will be X sample. Okay, judging from here, as you can see, there are 7 children, but I got X samples over here. Why is it so? Because one children, which is codenamed the patient 432, had both their palatine tonsil, okay, and the adenoid tonsil tested positive. Okay, the rest are all either one. And then also the other 6 children have one positive tissue each. Okay, positive palatine tonsil got 5 samples and positive adenoid tonsil got 3 samples. Okay, including patient 432, which the code name. Next is the IAV nuclear protein mapping. As I would like to drag your attention to the diagram A, diagram B, C, D, E, and F. There are 6 diagrams over here. Let me explain to you, okay? This diagram is indicated that a virus structural protein is being produced in tonsillar tissue from the children without the acute respiratory infection symptoms. Furthermore, a viral protein production was not only located on the epithelium. Okay, as you can see from the diagram B and diagram C, that is the red colored dots out there, the staining, showing that the nuclear protein is actually located over the epithelium, but also in the lymphoid cells, suggesting that the IAV infection productive in tonsil tissue from children without clinical manifestation of influenza. I would like to drag your attention towards D, okay, where you can see there is a square box marking E. Sorry, it's a bit too small. And then the lower part there is another square box marking as F. Okay, so as you can see, the E, okay, and F are actually the lymphoid follicle, which is the E part. And now I'm going to enlarge it. You can see over the right side, the E there with a lot of arrow. This is lymphoid follicles, and F is the interfollicular area. Okay, as you can see, we do the staining. There's a red color dots over there. You saw that? At that part, that red color dots is actually the RNA, the nuclear protein of the influenza A virus. Okay, so next part here. Okay, I would like you to remember of this 6 picture because later on there will be further some more diagrams to show you. Now let's go to a little bit recap of our immunology knowledge. Okay, so CD20 is indicated of a B lymphocyte. CD3, CD4, and CD8 is indicator of a T lymphocyte. Now comes across to your attention is a CD11C. Okay, CD11C is neither a B or T. It is actually an alpha chain integrin subunit and a classical defining a surface marker for dendritic cells. In action, or to say the job of this dendritic cell is more of a viral recognition. Okay, recognizes the virus in aiding of the immune system to activate it in a faster way. So as you can see, there are 2 small diagrams over here. Okay, on the left side, you can see that the blue, red, and orange bar, okay, the blue bar is a CD20 indicated that, okay, this one is during the experiment, okay, notice that the nuclear protein positive cells are the most by B lymphocyte, in a B lymphocyte, and the red one is CD3, CD3 and CD8, which is the T lymphocyte, slightly lower. And notice over the orange color bar, it's the CD11C. Now, which you can see, the palatine tonsil has a lower percentage of this cell, and the adenoid has a higher percentage. On the right side, you can see the palatine tonsil becomes a bit higher than the adenoid. Okay, now I will enlarge this picture and we talk about it. Okay, this is something you need to spot on. Why is the CD11 is higher in adenoid? Okay, in terms of the IVA nuclear protein plus VE percentage. Okay, let's see. Now I enlarge these 2 pictures for everyone to have a look at here. As you can see over here, the adenoid here has a larger in terms of percentage of the nuclear protein positive cells in the adenoid compared to palatine tonsil. This is because in adenoid tissue, we have a smaller in terms of numbers of the CD11C. And then in palatine tonsil, there are a lot. So when the virus goes in and then it infects about 50 of this cell, if in the percentage wise, adenoid tissue, let's say they have 100 units of this CD11C cell inside there, and 50 of them is infected. So it becomes half of the number in adenoid tissue in terms of percentage. But palatine tonsil is slightly bigger or larger in terms of CD11C, how to say, the CD11C's unit. So if let's say they have 200 of it and 50 of them is infected, so the percentage is become lesser. Hence, you see this bar. But in terms of the cell count, adenoid tissue is actually lesser, where the palatine tonsil is higher. Okay, because palatine tonsil has more cell, okay, compared to the adenoid tissue. Okay. So this is just regarding on the finding of the CD11C. Okay, so CD11C, as I said just now, this is a bit more of like a summary. CD11C is neither a B nor a T lymphocyte. It is a surface markers for the dendritic cells, as I said just now. And second point is the population of IAV the influenza A virus nuclear protein positive CD11C is higher in terms of cell count in palatine tonsil. Okay, so virus will mostly attack to palatine tonsil instead of the adenoid tissue, adenoid tonsil. So third point, CD11C is the surface marker, and this translates as APC antigen presenting cell, which plays a more important, critical role in initial viral capture, establishment, and spread of the silent infection. Okay, so if we could capture this, okay, then we know the patient is having an infection, but it's a silent infection because it's asymptomatic. Okay, the fourth point is the tissue-specific microenvironment difference between the adenoid and the palatine tonsil, which in the higher population of CD11C in palatine tonsil means as a potential site for infection dynamics such as the influenza A in this study. So we take influenza A virus in this study. We do it on palatine and adenoid and notice that the virus is more affected on the palatine tonsil. And let me recap for you. Let me remind you that the palatine tonsil are the two tonsils that you always see when you do an oral examination for the patient. Okay, so when we came across with this experiment, we came up with two important notes over here is that the palatine tonsil could be the first gateway for mass public to be taken extra care of for any respiratory viruses infection, particularly influenza A, or not just that. Okay. Apart from wearing masks during the pandemic or endemic, the oral gargling to prevent also important as well. So that's why doctors sometimes we prescribe oral gargles for the patient to help in suiting the to reduce the symptoms or more of like a prevention of this issue. Now, since I said just now, there are 6 diagrams that you need to take note of. Now, I would like to drag your attention towards this 1, 2, 3, 15 diagrams over here where we can have a look, okay? So on the left side here, you can see where there is a green dots and everything over the epithelium as well. These green dots is actually the nuclear protein, the MP. As you can see, the MP. If I could request for this slide to be enlarged so that our audience can have a better look at these pictures because it looks a bit too small. Thank you so much. And you can see over here that is this MP here, okay? MP means nuclear protein of the influenza A virus. As you can see, the green dots, okay? It's infecting to the lymphoid tissue as well inside and the the lymphoid follicular tissue and also the interfollicular area as well as the epithelial region at the diagram O. So as you move your attention towards the diagram D, G, J, M, and P, the diagram D shows that the staining with CD8, and then G is a CD20, and then J is a CD4, and then M is a CD11C, and as well as lastly, the cytokeratins. Okay, let me remind you, CD4, diagram D, CD8, diagram D, diagram J, CD4. These two are T cells. G is CD20, is a B cell, and M, the CD11C, it's a dendritic surface antigen. Okay, so as you can see, all the red colors here, it tells us that these are present. So as the time goes by, you move to the third bracket over here. Okay, E, the overlay, all this the overlay, meaning that you can see how does the reaction from our defense system towards the nuclear protein of the influenza A virus on the third diagram. Okay, you can see orange colored dot over the diagram E, which is the CD8 reacting to the nuclear protein of the virus, and H will be the B cell, the CD20 reacting over the nuclear protein, and the dendritic cell over here, which is the CD11C reacting towards the nuclear protein over the diagram N. Then lastly, Q is the cytokeratins reacting over the nuclear protein of the infection. Okay, right. So next one. Now, what else could be silently looking in the palatine tonsil? Have you ever wondering that? So in order to answer to this further question on this issue, I would like to pass over the floor to Dr. Ching for him to continue his sharing on this issue. Dr. Ching, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. J. Yeah, for the good sharing on the pathogen reservoir. Yeah, so regarding the pathogen reservoir on the influenza A. So just now, everyone understand the reason behind why we need to take care and to be pay extra attention on the palatine tonsils. Okay, because yeah, let me to show you further and share why on that. Because apart from the influenza A, actually we need to pay attention on the biofilm as well. Okay, so I'll explain in the subsequent slides. Okay.
Yeah, I think Dr. Cheng, you need to make it full screen to make it bigger.
Full screen. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, is that yeah, this is a full screen, right?
Uh, this is the not full screen here. If not, then I can show my slide over here and also can. Let me try.
Is this
Yeah,
a full
good.
screen?
Yep. Now it's good. Thanks.
Okay, all right. So okay, let me continue my part. All right. Okay, so today we will be talking another session, which is the anatomy of the persistent, the bacterial fortress. So when you heard about this fortress, right, actually we are going to refer the biofilm. So we know that biofilm not only occur on the wound surfaces, but also presents in the oral cavity. So the biofilm of this particular how to say substance, right, actually happen to discover in the tonsil script. So that's why today our topic here, we have the cryptic niche, which I will show it later. And we also need to understand the physical barrier of this biofilm against the antibiotics. Yeah, which it will cause the chronicity of the tonsillitis and so on. And eventually it will lead to the antibiotic resistance as well. And next, we will cover the topic of why the conventional therapy, example, the conventional mouthwash or other oral rinse, fail to kill the biofilm architecture. Yeah, because of several reasons. Yeah, so we will cover in the subsequent slides. So first, we need to understand what is the biofilm in medical context. So very easy. Biofilm actually is a accumulation of the colonies of bacteria hidden under the phloem, and this phloem actually is resistant against the antibiotics. So when the antibiotics can kill the bacteria is when the bacteria disperse out from the biofilm. So on this slide, right, you can see on the the number 7 sentence, okay? So here, symptoms caused by the planktonic bacteria. So this word planktonic means the bacteria free floating out from the biofilm. And that's when the antibiotic can kill the bacteria. Yeah, but for the bacteria which is hidden in the biofilm, the antibiotic most of the time will not be able to kill that. Yeah, so that's why we need to have something to break through on this biofilm. So this is the simple diagram regarding the biofilm life cycle and their formation. So first, we can see the bacteria actually congregate as a colony and attach on the mucosal surface, on our wound surface or on our any surface in other places as well. So these bacteria actually eventually they will cause the irreversible attachment and the cell-to-cell adhesion. And this formation, right, they will eventually merge together and becoming larger and larger for the biofilm. So this biofilm, they will started to proliferate and to grow the number of the bacteria inside this biofilm. And this bacteria, when they mature, they will eventually secrete the enzyme. So the enzyme they secreted, it will make a hole on the biofilm and the bacteria will disperse as a planktonic bacteria. Yeah, so when you see the bacteria on this right-hand side, the dispersion part, so the bacteria, it will flow out. So this is where when the bacteria flow out, it will cause, for example, in the tonsils, it will cause tonsillitis. Yeah, so it will cause your tonsils to become red, inflamed, and pain. Yeah, so that's where the antibiotic can start to work. So you can see on this slide, so actually our formula BFD factor, which is called biofilm dissolving factor, is a patented formula designed to break the biofilm suitable for oral cavity area, not for wound, so for oral cavity. So because why? Because we discovered that the biofilm actually presents and found hidden in the tonsil script. So you can see on this photo, okay, so these are the well-defined and large tonsils, easier to see the tonsil script. So you can see what's the circle here. So you can see here's some hole here. This is a tonsil script, the palatine tonsil script. So the biofilm can be hidden in this tonsil script. So when they matured, the biofilm matured, it will start to disperse the bacteria and it will cause tonsillitis. Okay, so this is the concepts on this part. So just to emphasize again, so the bacteria within the biofilm are actually metabolically active and physically well protected by the biofilm. So when these bacteria, they are actively growing, actually they are, they are surviving on the high sugar intake and as well some of the high protein diet, which is specifically aiming to grow the certain species of the bacteria. For example, Streptococcus, which will cause the sore throat. Okay, so this is a simple diagram you can see on your right hand. So the high sugar intake, actually, it will fuel the bacterial growing process. So that's why, the biofilm, the fortress couldn't hold the bacteria anymore. So that's why they need to disperse and form another colonies. So in this process, they will cause tonsillitis. Yeah, so next. So this is some of the fun facts trivial. I believe that most of the Malaysian, especially Chinese community, when we are small, we usually will heard this from our older generation. So like when you eat the beef or mutton, it's very heaty and will cause sore throat. Yeah, so I think this is particularly true because when we study in medical school that time, during the microbiological class, so we will play on the petri dish to inoculate and culture the bacteria. So for example, when we want to culture the bacterial group A beta hemolytic Streptococcus species, we need the sheep blood to make it a blood agar. So because this sheep blood is the specific ingredient to force the Streptococcus to manifest on the petri dish. So that's why sometimes if let's say the meat that we eat is not very cooked well or has still a little bit of the sheep blood inside the meat, right? So actually this process, it maybe will accelerate the growth of the bacteria inside the biofilm. Yeah, and hence it will speed up the process of the tonsillitis. Yeah. So next we will go to the second part. So which is the limitation of the conventional therapy. So I think a lot of doctors are using thymol when dispensing together with the amoxicillin for the patients. But why sometimes the thymol isn't work? Yeah, because three key factors. First, lacking of the optimum ratio of non-ionic surfactant in aiding the diffusion of the active ingredient. And second, is either totally absent of the non-ionic surfactant in the oral gargle liquid. And third, incorrect method and procedure of preparing the non-ionic surfactant in the jacket distillery machine. So this is more on the pharmaceutical process. Yeah, so with these three factors, actually it could contribute to the reason of why the traditional therapeutical rinses fail to penetrate the biofilm of this sessile bacteria in our tonsil script. Yeah. So this is a Tarragon in-house studies. So you can see on this photo, right, left and right. So on the left-hand side is the tonsil script, the cross-section part. So we discovered the biofilm inside. Yeah, the black mass you can see is the biofilm. So when after treated with the BFD factor, the biofilm started to begin have a perforation on there. So this is where the biofilm dissolves, and it can speed up the diffusion of the active ingredient to kill the bacteria and let the bacteria, to become the planktonic bacteria to free flow out from the biofilm, and it will increase the efficacy of the antibiotic and also prevent the antibiotics to become resistant to become resistant on a certain bacteria. Yeah. So this is the thing that we're going to show for everyone today. So this is the studies which has my name on here. So my name Winkit, you can see on the top of the left part. So this is a study just now we shared. So it's in the in this paper. So actually back in 2003, right, many years ago, so actually the JAMA paper, the Journal of the American the Journal of the American Medical Association actually already discovered this biofilm in the tonsil script. So just to be sure to double confirm, Terragon Healthcare, we did the test again, exactly the same. And yes, the biofilm discovered in the tonsil script. But we need something to break through this biofilm. Otherwise, we couldn't, deliver a very good therapy for our patients. Yeah. So this BFD factor, actually, we have the patent first to file in Malaysia, my IPO, and also globally. Yeah, we are the first in globally as well. So we have the number of claim approval 10, you can see here. Okay. And you can see on the right-hand side, so this patent, the title of the invention, a dual antibacterial, antiviral oral gargle solution. So the inventor also me as well with my other fellows inventor colleagues. Yeah. So this is the patent written submission form which I submitted to my IPO and WIPO. So in this patent, right, you can see the summary of the invention. So because we are using the non-ionic surfactant, which is the polysegmer 407, which I will share more later in the subsequent slides. And our active ingredient actually is the cetylpyridinium chloride and the chlorhexidine. Okay, and why we can claim for the to destroy the lipid of the envelope, the lipid envelope of the respiratory viruses. So, for example, the viruses you saw here, SARS-CoV-2, RSV, herpes simplex 1, and the influenza A and B as well. All these viruses actually belongs to envelope virus. Yeah, and these envelope virus actually are susceptible to be killed by the cetylpyridinium chloride during gargles. Yeah, so just now you heard Dr. J sharing about regarding influenza A, hidden, the nuclear protein hidden in the tonsils. So that's why when gargling, right, our formula BFD factor also actually can make this cetylpyridinium chloride stay longer in the oral cavity and act as the defensive barrier for this, for the prevention of influenza. So this is the mechanism of how these patented BFD factors to unlock the biofilm. So there are two ingredients. Polysegmer 407 act as the penetration enhancer. And second is a polysorbate 20 to prevent the excessive gelation, ensuring the solution remain in the liquid form to flow deeper in the tonsillar crape. So these two ingredients actually, we need a very specific, sophisticated way to manufacture it. Not only we need to capture the right ratio, but we need the very correct way of processing it in the pharmaceutical process. Yeah, so with this BFD factor, it acted as a key, the key to unlock the padlocks. So this padlocks actually is a biofilm membrane. So it will enhance the diffusion of the chlorhexidine to kill the bacteria and let the bacteria to flow outside, out of the biofilm. So that's why the antibiotic can work more efficiently and to reduce the possibility of antibiotic resistance. So this is the graph, the calculation model that we use, the Gaussian decay function. So we discovered that the optimal concentration for peak diffusion, the polysegmer 407 must be 1.5%. Okay. And the polysorbate 20, the percentage must be 3%. Yeah, so these two percentage, it must be very specific. And I repeat again, it must be processed under the correct way in the pharmaceutical process, to attain this effect. So for more information regarding this biofilm dissolving factor, the BFD factor, you can visit our website www.molarcare.my for more information on that part. So you will be more clear on what I today share. Yeah. So now is the Q&A. We are open for any HCP, healthcare professional. So we can answer whatever we could. So yeah, I will pass the floor to Dr. Keith.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Cheng, for very detailed and technical explanations on biofilm. So I think we have quite a lot of questions in Slido. But myself actually have few questions I want to ask, but I think you answer already. Initially, I want to ask is something like we because I have quite a lot of GP friends, and we also treat tonsillitis, recurrent tonsillitis. Like we use Timer gargle, like you mentioned, povidone, iodine, chlorhexidine gargles, all these things to patients. So initially, I just want to ask about the traditional rise, why it failed to destruct the biofilm within the tonsillar tissue. Is it because of concentrations, or is it because of the delivery itself? I think you have some very technical explanation. Maybe you can make it more easy to understand on why your products, why these products actually more effective compared to the traditional timer gargle.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Dr. Keith, for the questions. So regarding this question, right, maybe we can go back to last time when we are the doctor, we're doing the houseman, right? So
Yep.
still remember during the orthopedic posting, we need to sometimes, on duty to go to the, how to say, the dressing room. We need to wash, yeah, for those who on the wheelchair to wash their wound, especially the DFU, diabetic foot ulcer. So
Yep,
for the
correct.
diabetic foot ulcer, right, actually the wound surface same will have the biofilm, which is the same nature the biofilm found in our throats. Yeah. So this biofilm, you use a povidone iodine, yes, you can break it, but you need to use a lot of povidone iodine, which is not economical. Like you are wasting a lot of the liquid. And furthermore, this povidone iodine actually, if you really want to break the biofilm, you need to use a very super high concentration, which is very toxic for the mucosal membrane. Yeah, so for example, we know the concentration of the povidone iodine for the wound surface and for the oral cavity are different when you look at the label behind of the products. So for oral cavity, right, it will be much lower. But if let's say you really want to break the biofilm, you need to use a high concentration. So that's why it's not very feasible advice on using in the oral cavity. So that's why very often povidone iodine, we only target for the fungal infection. Yeah, because fungus, they are not hidden in the biofilm. Biofilm, as we mentioned, is only, like they keep the bacteria inside this fortress. Yeah. So, and furthermore, like thymol, right? Thymol actually is a, how to say, it's an essential oil. Thymol actually derived from thyme leaf. So that's why this compared to the synthetic like chlorhexidine or the CPC, we call it cetiapyridinium chloride. Like our rinse guard, we have the BFD factor, but thymol, they don't have this BFD factor. So when you look at the behind the label, sometimes the thymol, either they have the poloxamol 407 or they only have polysorbate 20. Or if they have both, maybe the manufacturing process is not the patented one. So that's why this is the limitation of the delivery function of this thymol to kill the bacteria completely. Yeah, and of course, thymol, we know you need to dilute. So if let's say you dilute, not in the correct ratio, it will cause irritation back to the throats. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks. I think this slide is the one that I saw just now on, like you need to find the balance on the concentrations like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to bring up one question from this the Slido. Yeah, this one is quite interesting. How about Listerine mouthwash?
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Listerine, okay, Listerine mouthwash. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they also only either have one polysacchar or polysorbate. Yeah, and Listerine, I think, last time previously they're using alcohol as the main ingredient, but nowadays I think they discount the alcohol part because the alcohol it will cause how to say the serostomia, the dry mouth, and this xerostomia have many side effects or complication in later life. Yeah, so but Listerine actually I can share that their CPC content actually is very very low. Yeah, because in order for the CPC, to be effective in killing the virus, you need to have a very basic concentration of 0.05%. Yeah, so that's why Listerine actually is more like a household mouthwash product for daily use.
Okay. So follow up the same questions. So is this kind of a rice guard suitable for all the patients? Any recommended age, like only for certain age student? I mean, the younger than 3 years old, can we use it? Or this?
Okay, yeah, regarding this question, previously also a lot of doctors are asking us when we promote this rinse guard to the GP clinic. So, rinse guard, okay, if let's say the children already know how to brush their teeth, okay, so I think it's not a problem. We explain to them, you gargle and you spit it out. Because children, I think around 4 or 5 years old, actually they are good enough to
Okay.
understand the command of this. Yeah. So whereas for like other group of patient, for example, pregnant woman, is it safe to use? Yes. Yeah, because this product is not meant for swallowing. So that's why you gargle, you spit out. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, anyone is not really about the age limiting. It's more on the user ability to do the mouthwash lah. As long as they can do the mouthwash, they can use the rice cup.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Any contraindications that they need to be aware of?
Okay, contraindication. Okay, we need to understand the contraindication. The root problem is from where. If let's say you overuse it, so for like chlorhexidine, right, in dental setting, actually, they advise not to use more than 2 weeks because there are two reasons. First, your teeth will become yellow. So this is more on the
Oh.
aesthetical problem.
Uh,
Yeah, and second, if you use more than 2 weeks, right, it will desensitize your taste bud. Yeah, but this can be reversible, so don't worry. So that's why this rinse guard, we only advise doctor to dispense for the patient only for 5 to 6 days when they have when they have a tonsillitis together with the amoxicillin. Yeah.
So I think this one maybe can address to Dr. J also. I also want to ask this one: is the biofilm and the viral latency phenomena clinically more relevant to children's, or is it we under diagnosing it in adult? Because like the study you mentioned is all about children's. Yeah.
As we thank you for the question. It's a very wonderful question and very important as well in order in this to clarify something. We took the sample, I mean, we took the study for the children. It's mainly because children has lower immunity system compared to adult. So when children has a lower immunity system, they are prone to more severe infection. That means from the child getting starting of the infection and then escalate to the severe is even faster time than the adult. So for children, we can always we don't play around, we don't play the fool around. When the children come to my clinic, I always will go with try to stage the severity to a little bit higher so that we can taper down the infection before it becomes severe. So I will actually, in my practice, I'll go more aggressive on the children. So yes, you're correct. This biofilm and viral latency phenomena is actually cannot be say more clinical relevant in children. Both adult and children also have it, but children can escalate to a severe condition in a shorter period compared to adult. So adult wise, we have a stronger immunity. Of course, you don't include those immunocompromised patients. But otherwise, yes, children will be more alert in terms of this one.
So since you are practicing yourself, just want to tap on your current practice. Do you change the practice in a way that you do prophylactic viral protections using this kind of rice guard during their high risk periods, or you still wait for them to come in with like symptoms only you start this kind of gargles?
Okay, thank you for the question. As I always believe, children is the host of this nation, the future host of this nation. So protecting every child is what I always emphasize in my practice. So when the children come to me, I'll always discuss the condition. After I examine the child, I discuss the condition with the parents. I give them options. I say, look, I have this, I have this. Is your child okay with this? Because you ask a child to rinse, it's like asking them to take medicine. They've been running the whole house, and then you're going to have a good time catching them. So basically, I will ask the parents, do you want a prophylactic one? Because I have this in my clinic. Okay, I'm trying to help you because I expecting your child going to be worse in about 1 to 2 days. So I always tell them this. And if the parents say, okay, we are ready for the job, we're going to catch him, we're going to tie him, or whatever they say, okay, just to let the child to rinse the mouth, then I'll be very happy to start with the prophylactic. Of course, I will always open up for discussion with the parents because they have the right to do the best decision for the child.
Yep. Thanks. I think that's something very because like you mentioned, kids are definitely deteriorate faster. Yeah. So next, let find other questions. Burning questions to see. I think this one is talking about tonsillectomy. So
I think this beloved warrior, I know who is that. I think I better answer him. He has been bothered by this question for a really long time.
Ken,
And I think I know this audience, but
yeah, you
thank
want
you
to
for your
take the question
questions,
for this?
sir. I know it's a sir, so thank you, sir, for your questions. Is removing tonsil a good thing? Isn't it the first line of defense? Okay, I'll let you know something. We as doctors, we actually don't like to remove anything that belongs to your body because you are born that way, you are born with it. So it has a purpose served in your body. And if we don't need to remove, we won't remove it. But if your tonsillitis was recurrent, 1 year you get about 6 to 7 times tonsillitis to yourself, you better remove it because it's already causing, or I should say, it jeopardizes your quality of life. And if jeopardize your quality of life, and in a further action, it causing you to have like shortness of breath, or I should say OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, because of very large tonsil, then you better remove it because it's one of the core reasons that you get a OSA in that case. Okay, and of course, keep on repeating having the same infection, that definitely your body is going to get a lot of weak. I mean, not to say weakness, but you will definitely, each infection will definitely cause you to be weaker. Okay, that's the first thing. And second thing, each infection definitely you will have to take MC to rest because you are not. Your job is more to speaking, so you definitely need more time to rest because your throat is going to be like burning and hurting. So if the taking of MC and the repeating of the tonsillitis is jeopardizing your life and it's affecting your quality of life, then of course the doctor will advise you to remove it in order to let you have a better quality of life. That's my suggestion.
Yep. So totally, agree. So basically, you treat first until it become like very chronic, and is affecting your quality of life. Then you only go for this kind of surgery, this kind of invasive surgery to remove it, to treat the root cause from there. Just want to tap on these questions. This one also I'm not sure how is the mechanism. Actually, what is the one that triggering the biofilm formation in the tonsil? Is it more on the repeated infections, or is it because the antibiotic misuse, or is it because the host immune factor? Any answer from your side on this kind of
Okay,
things?
yeah, let me explain this on behalf of today. So, what actually triggers biofilm formation in the tonsils? Is it repeated infection or antibiotic exposure or host immune factor? Actually, all these four key factors I just mentioned are interrelated. Okay, so for example, we need to understand the biofilm formation, how it forms. So actually, biofilm it starts from the what we call the plaque, the teeth. So usually you will see the yellow part that we need to remove scaling at the dental office. So if
Yep.
let's say you didn't take care well enough of your oral hygiene, so this plaque, the biofilm, it will disperse from the teeth here and it will run towards backward to the tonsils there. So in the tonsils there, they find another good environment, they will start to colonize and they will form another group of the biofilm inside. So this biofilm, as just now we mentioned, it will grow as time passes. So if let's say you eat a lot of sugary food or mutton, for example, then it will speed up the process of growing this bacteria in the biofilm. So with this bacteria, right, if let's say you keep repeated exposure to antibiotics, and the antibiotics, couldn't kill them all because you didn't use the right oral rinse. So actually, all these factors, interrelated to contribute to this problem. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we have almost answered most of the questions over here. Is there any evidence that using a mechanical destructions is more effective compared to systemic antibiotic alone?
Okay, is there any evidence that mechanical destruction is more effective than systemic antibiotics alone? So we need to tackle this question in a very academic way. So you see, when we mention systemic, means these drugs, it will work in other part of the body because it works systemic. Yeah, because
Yep.
of the bloodstream. Yeah. So as we just now mentioned, oral rinse is just locally. It will not enter into any our bloodstream. So this oral rinse, right, actually it helps to increase the antibiotics efficacy and as well, to kill all the some of the bacteria that hidden in the corners at the tonsil scripts. Yeah, but the real works are still the antibiotic, the amoxicillin, to go inside every corner of the bloodstream, to kill the bacteria until that the threshold brings to a level that we are comfortable to leave it. Yeah.
So it's not to cure it. It just help you to open the barrier, so then you can use a real weapon to kill all this viral or bacterial
Yes.
infection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because
will just have to top up from what Dr. Ching said, lah, if I would allow to. I'll
Sure,
just pop
sure.
out a little bit from what Dr. Ching
yeah.
said. Yes, by using I didn't say that particularly any oral gargle medicine now. Okay, so if there is a medicine that is able to break up the biofilm, allow the antibiotic to enter and does its job, it's actually helping. As you can see, if you are playing, I don't know, some mobile game are very famous now, Mobile Legend or King Shot or whatever. If you can think about it, you see, we always have that small army, that small goblin, is it? I don't know. So we'll go in front and try to distract
Anchor.
the what do you call it, the enemy, so that the main character can go there and fight the enemy with lesser effort. So the same thing goes with antibiotics and also that oral gargle. Okay, oral gargle acts like, I'm the first defense. I'm go first. I'm going to break up this barrier so that the antibiotic can go in straight to the issue. So as you can see, combination of these two medicine actually can bring healing faster than it should be, instead of antibiotic workings alone. That's all I want to top up for that.
Yep. I think thanks for the very insightful sharing. A lot. I think for myself at least, I didn't think too much on treating this kind of tonsillitis using my current common practice lah. So these are something new for me. So maybe just bring back to clinics. What should the clinics, GP or doctors do differently if they come in with another kind of recurrent tonsillitis case? What would be the recommended practice?
Yeah,
It's
JJ.
like okay, my side of practice always goes like this lah. Especially I see in the private issue lah. Okay, let's talk about when I was in government at the time. When I was in government, I worked in the clinic kesihatan before also. So tonsillitis is also part of the daily bread and butter for me lah. So those people who goes to clinic kesihatan, we all understand that this is one of their choice to go to us as well, because maybe outside they tried a few times and then this thing is not cured. So bear in mind that actually tonsillitis happens besides the immunity is one of the issue. Probably the patient might have another underlying issue. For example, he has the autoimmune, maybe, I'm not sure. Or he memang is come with an immunocompromised issue whereby it's really easy to get affected. Or another way is he is a defaulter. Doctors give medication, but he or she doesn't take it. So it's like it blames on the doctor. So for me, when I was in clinic kesihatan, I will actually go a bit aggressive. If let's say the second time he come within such a short period of time, then I'll do a little bit of a deeper investigation. And also, of course, I'm going to ask about the the what you call is it compliance to the medication and stuff, just to do a check on the background. But when I would join in private, usually on my second attempt, like for example, the patient come to me with the tonsillitis, and then on the second attempt, I'll have to start investigating already, like what's going on, why is it keep on repeating. I will of course offer some service for the patient, okay, in return to find out what's going on with the issue, and of course, if needed, without waiting for 5 times a year as in the standard guideline, I would actually ask the patient to get a more specialized opinion from the specialist in order to solve the problem. Because each time a tonsillitis happens, I understand that it's really, really irritating and it's really, really affecting the quality of life. Because we have a mouth, and the mouth is very important for good food, especially during Chinese New Year and now coming soon Raya also. Okay, food is the main thing in Malaysia. And with a tonsillitis, I am sure that you're going to have issue with having enjoying the good time. So basically, I'll do more aggressive in private here. This is part of my practice, and also I believe it can improve the quality of life of the patient.
Yep, I think definitely if we have sore throat, definitely a lot of fun will gone. Yeah, I think that is thanks for the sharing again. So I think today's discussions actually remind us on not all the infections are just simple bacterial problems with antibiotic. Tonsil can serve as a persistent microbiome century protected by the biofilms and the viral latency. So I think for doctors as clinicians, our challenge is also like you mentioned, need to rethink the management strategy and investigate and go beyond the repeated antibiotic cycles. So I think that is a message for me. So I think that's about the discussion for today. Any things you want to add on from there, Dr. Ching or Dr. J?
Yeah, I think yeah, that's all for today. So if let's say anybody is interested on this molar care risk guard, so yeah, you can just welcome to our website. So molarcare.my, www.molarcare.my to get more info.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now then I will share the CBD point QR code for everyone.
Okay.
So
yeah,
for everyone, so you can actually scan this QR code, fill in your detail, and then we will help you to register for your CBD point. So this QR code, this portal will be open for until tonight, I think, until tonight. So feel free to, some of you might still in running clinical practice, so you have time to actually go through the entire webinar again and still can get your CBD point by tonight. Okay. So before ended, I just want to show everyone that just now before we started, we have some interesting conversations between Dr. Cheng and Dr. J. I think Dr. Cheng and Dr. J are super old friends. They met each other. How many years already?
More than 11 years, I think.
Yeah. So we also talk about Dr. J books. Dr. J, maybe you want to introduce about what you write, what you have done before this.
Okay, it's just actually when I was a medical student in Moscow, third year, I actually came up with one of my first call it booklet. I don't call it book, a booklet, but it was not properly published, so it was being plagiarized as well. Too sad that one. I wrote in actually a plus community that is talking about Moscow guide A to Z for all the students who goes to settle down in Moscow or study in Moscow. Then from the guide, if you just read through the whole guide, you will basically become very local, more local than a local Moscowian. Moscovite. So that one is the first one that I wrote. But from there, the effort goes along, and then I came up with my second guidebook. Also, I call it guidebook. It's called Navigating Sarawak for any doctors who work in Sarawak or who have in contact with MMA Sarawak. You definitely have a chance to see this book. It's green in color. I published under MMA Sarawak. So when I was at EXCO in Sarawak, at the time I joined MMA, and I published this book in order to help the doctors in Sarawak to settle down. So in the book, it talks about good food, places to rent, where you can stay. You know, I don't tell you the places that you going to be in trouble if you stay there. So I'm going to tell you the places that are rather safe lah. So it talks about all 12 districts in whole Sarawak, cover from Teluk Melano all the way to Lawas. So basically, the small places also are being covered as well as Kapit lah. Of course, so that's the second book I wrote, and it's available across Sarawak. And I believe I got a message that day that one of the copies is actually with Dato Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad. One of the
Wow.
copies is with him. Yeah.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
the
Wow.
other copies was with Noor Hisham. That time he was still the DG.
Wow. Okay.
No,
Okay.
not him. Sorry, not him. It was Dr. Muhammad Razi, the previous one DG after Tan Sri Noor Hisham. After him, there's a previous one DG before Dr. Mahata.
How if like anyone want to get it, how can they get it?
They can always contact MMA Sarawak office in the podium. MMA Sarawak office, they will actually happily to send a copy to you. Just request from them, and it's
Okay.
free of
So
charge.
they cannot get from Kama bookstore, cannot get from Shopee lah.
Cannot. It's a book without ESPN, so cannot sell.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just a guidebook lah for the people who are ready to come to Sarawak or wanted to explore Sarawak. Well, you can try to explore Sarawak like what I did in my YouTube channel. I share first two video of what I did in Sarawak. Is I actually spent last year May 2025. I spent 11 days traveling from Teluk Melano all the way up to Tawau, which is the whole Pan Borneo. I cover a total of 1,657 kilometer and come back to Kuching again. So it takes me about 11 days, doing about 3,200 kilometers of driving. So basically every day was sleeping in the hotel. Don't worry, I didn't sleep in the car. Okay, it was a good trip, by the way. Sarawak route was good, but the Sabah one is need improvement.
Okay, that is good to know. Yeah, it's good to know. So yeah, so I think that's all for today's sessions. Yeah, I think thanks again, Dr. Cheng and Dr. J, for giving the insightful sharing. So we will see each other in the next webinar. So stay tuned. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
Dr.
much,
Kim.
and don't forget to rinse your mouth.
Yeah.
Oral hygiene is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a blessed New Year and good
Right.
Ramadan. Mubarak Karim for those who are celebrating Eid, and Eid Al Mubarak for the later one.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Doctor. Yeah.